Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I have to share with you two more quick and easy Christmas throw pillow covers, certain to add a festive touch of Christmas color to your living space. There is no sewing involved, just simple application of fabric and embellishments to throw pillow covers easily purchased on Amazon. Let me show you how step by step. Welcome to all to my channel today. Please remember to subscribe if you are not currently. Give this tutorial a thumbs up if you enjoy, and leave me your comments. I love receiving them and interacting with those who view my channel. Okay, let's get creating. Okay, let's look at the first pillow. This is going to be the one with the 3 stockings. Now, I'm going to use these throw pillow covers from Amazon. When I tell you they have so many different choices on Amazon for that, different sizes, different colors, different fabrics. You just have to go on and find the one that suits your decor. I drew out a stocking. Now, you could do this very easily by looking at just an image of it. Very simple to draw this. This is a very, very simple drawing. So I created a pattern just by drawing it out with pencil, and I cut it out. Now, I'm going to use fabric on this, but you could very well use felt. I like to get felt off of the bolt at Hobby Lobby. It's a nice, thick, sturdy felt, not like the felt squares that you get at Walmart. This is real felt, like heavy felt, and it works very, very well if you want to get that. I'm going to use fabric. I have 3 different types of fabric. One is a Dollar Tree fabric that I got in a little roll. And the other 2, one is green with a little print. Obviously, you knew I was going to do that, right? And then so is the red that has a textured pattern as well. Not textured, but a pattern. Now, I have here some Pellon, which is something that you use to stiffen the fabric on the back. I ended up not using it because it really didn't make a difference, but I thought I was going to try it to see if it would matter, but it didn't. Now, there is another product that you could use, heat bond, that's what it's called, B-O-N-D, and that will fuse fabric to fabric. I did use that, and you'll see that later. I picked up this first strip in the department at Hobby Lobby with the pipe cleaners and the felt. I ended up not using it, opting to use a ribbon instead, just because of the way that the fur was lying on the top of the stocking. I wasn't too crazy about it. So I ended up, and you'll see what I ended up using. And then I created pom-poms for each of the stockings to put on them, the top side. Okay, so I'm just going to take some straight pins and pin my little stocking pattern to my fabric. Then I'm just going to cut it out with scissors. Very, very simple. This project is super quick and super simple. I'm going to be doing another one as well, just creating ornaments in the exact same way, fusing them to the throw pillow cover and just using embellishments to decorate. So what you see me doing here with the stockings, you do it exactly the same with the ornaments. You'll see that coming up. I thought the addition of the little pom-pom hanging down from the stocking was super cute. So I'm going to use my favorite yarn that I get at Hobby Lobby for that, and I'll show you that later, how I made the pom-pom. Now, I have this ribbon left over from last year from Walmart. It's a furry ribbon. It's not, the most beautiful furry ribbon I've ever seen, but it's a nice furry ribbon, and it has the edges finished, which was good, and I didn't have to worry about the pile of the fur. It was just kind of a fluffy ribbon, if you will. So you could also use Sherpa, which would be very nice on the top of this stocking. I used that with my reindeer that I did previously. So just cutting out those ribbon pieces to fit the top of the stocking. So obviously I'm going to need 3 of those. For the edges of this ribbon, I ended up turning it under to make it a little less wide to fit better on the top of the stocking, but that's no big deal. I did that later with a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to use this really pretty cord. I used this on my previous project as well. I had this big ball of red and green cotton cord, so pretty. And I picked that up like a few years ago at Home Goods, of all places. And I never used it until just recently. Now I can't stop using it. So I don't know. I should have used it in the past. It's really an awesome cord. But you could use any cord that you like for this. I would make it thicker maybe than a baker's twine, although a baker's twine would work. If you had a nice thicker baker's twine, that would work as well. So obviously the stockings are hanging on this line, or this cord line, if you will. And this is just a cute, simple pillow. This is not as, detailed as my Santa Claus pillow or even my Sherpa reindeer. But everything doesn't have to be crazy detailed, right? You can do simple projects as well and have them have plenty of impact and add lots of festive color. So I'm going to be draping my cord across my pillow here toward the top, and I'm going to start at one corner and bring that across the pillow up to the other corner. And I'm paying attention here how it's lying on the throw pillow cover. Now, one word of warning, I would just be careful how you handle your glue on all of these additions that you're placing on the pillow. Just try not to drop any on your fabric in places that you don't really want it, because it's going to be, almost impossible to get it off. I actually had a couple of little tiny mishaps myself. So yeah, I know how difficult it can be. It's not that difficult. You just have to be careful. That's all. So yeah, so I'm just going to use Aleene's Techie Glue. Now, a word about that. I tried a fabric fusion, Aleene's Fabric Fusion. I hated it, to put it bluntly. Aleene's Techie is extremely effective gluing fabric to fabric. Ask me how I know, because at times when I've made errors in my crafting and I tried to get it apart once it was dried, well, forget that. It's not happening. That's how I know that Aleene's Techie Glue is an extremely good tacky glue, gluing anything with fabrics. It's great for gluing anything, but in this case, with this project, anything that you decide to glue on that throw pillow cover with Aleene's Tacky is going to stay there, I guarantee you. Okay, so I need to make these stockings look like they're actually hanging on this cord. So I'm going to use a red satin cord. It's just a simple cloth satin cord. Ribbon. Ribbon. So I'm just going to use a small piece and I'm just going to loop it over. And I'm going to glue it down and underneath the stocking. And I want to create the effect that it is looped over or hanging from that cord. Now, if I would have thought ahead of time, and you may want to do this, I would have looped it over that cord before I glued it down. Yeah, let that be a hint for you. If I were you, I would do that. So, make sure you know where your placement is of your stocking, and as you go along and glue that cord down, I would loop your ribbon over it so it really, really looks like it's hanging from that cord. Yeah, I just didn't think of it in time. And then, like I said, alien stacky glue, it sets quickly and you don't want to pull it up once it's starting to adhere. So, yeah, I would do that if I were you. Now, you could use something else to do that. You don't have to use a satin ribbon. You could use a cord if you want to hang your stocking, so to speak, over that line. Now, this is that material, if you will. It comes on in a roll. It's called Heat Bond, and you can get this in any sewing department, probably at Walmart, I'm sure. Mine came from Hobby Lobby, and this is a product that's really cool, that it fuses fabric to fabric, and it's super easy to use. Could you tacky glue your stockings down? Yes, you could, and they're going to stay. Now, let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to fuse my Heat Bond to the back of my stocking with a dry iron, no steam. There's directions on that package if you pick this up. It does stiffen it up a little bit as well. But like I said, you could use felt on this if you wanted to. And then after you do that, the way this product works, you're going to peel off that white paper that you see on the back of there, and then you iron it again, and it fuses that right to the pillow cover. So you can use this or not use this. It's up to you. These pillow covers, at most you would want to hand wash them anyway. So you can decide. They're not something you throw in the washer, or certainly not the dryer. So I'm going to peel off, as you can see right there. Now it has this shiny, sticky back, and I can use my iron to adhere that right to that throw pillow cover. I just put a piece of parchment paper over it. Not sure if I really needed to do that, but I did. And I'm using a nice hot dry iron here on the wool setting. And that fuses that right to that throw pillow cover. So yeah, you could do it this way, or you could just use, and be careful with the tacky glue. If you're going to tacky glue these on, just drag your tip across the fabric. You don't need globs of tacky glue for this. That glue is going to hold very well, which is a nice light layer of tacky glue, and just put it all around the perimeter. That's if you want to do it that way, or if you want to use Heat Bond, that works too. Okay, again, so I am just putting my satin ribbon. I'm positioning it in a way so that it looks like it's going over the top of that cord, and I just use Aleene's Tacky for that. Again, if I were you, I would try to remember to do this while you're tacking down your cord, and just wrap that ribbon around it while you're doing it, and then attach it to your stockings later. So yeah, you could see this is a very simple project, from the drawing to cutting out the fabric to attaching it to the throw pillow cover. Now that red looks like it's kind of lost on the fabric, but don't worry about that. Actually, it has a pattern, so it's really, you can see it definitely on there. But what's going to bring out the stocking is whatever you place around it to trim it out. And in my case, I'm going to use that red and green cord. So that's going to totally outline that stocking and make it stand out on that piece. Now, it's hard not to want a red stocking on on a Christmas project. So, I wanted to include a red stocking, and it turned out just fine after I got that trim on there, that cord. So now I'm going about doing all of my gluing here so I can make it look like those stockings are hanging. Now remember to tilt your stockings, because if they're hanging on something, they're going to tilt, just like when you put them on a fireplace or you hang them on any hook. So pay attention to where and how you're positioning them. You don't want them straight up and down. Okay, so I'm just going to take my time, let that dry, and then periodically I check in with it and make sure those are just really adhering well. Now I'm going to take my Aleene's Tacky Glue, and you see what I mean about whether you use the heat bond or not use the heat bond, because you have plenty of Aleene's Tacky Glue going on this project. And I feel sure that if you had to hand wash this, it would be fine. But definitely a hand wash. Now I'm using my green and red it's a twisted cotton cord, very, very pretty. Now, if you want to use some type of cord, you know what would look really great? And I would have used it had I had it, would be a twisted cotton, white, twisted with red. That would have looked really pretty. But this green and red, which you can't really see the colors too well here on the video, but it really looks great. And it looks great with that plaid fabric, the green and red. It really coordinates well. So I go around my stocking in little sections, and I just drag the tip of my Aleene's Tacky Glue along the outer perimeter of my stocking. And then I just put all of my cord on, and it really outlines that stocking very nicely. Now, when these stockings really start looking really cute is once they have the pom-pom on. Okay, so this is my favorite yarn. I figured out where I got it. I should have figured it out in the first place, but I mentioned this in my last video that I did a pom-pom. I couldn't think of where I got that yarn. That's my very favorite. It fluffs out really, really pretty. So take note of the brand name of that. And it's sold at Hobby Lobby. So I have a piece of heavy cardboard there, and it's about 2 inches wide. This is how I'm going to make pom-poms. I hold my initial piece down with my thumb, and I wrap it 25 times. This is going to make a very nice, cute little pom-pom. So I wrap it 25 times, and then I cut it off on the bottom. Now I'm going to take about an 8-inch piece, something like that. I'm going to slide it underneath my wrapped yarn, and I'm going to tie a super tight double knot. Very tight now. This is important, so it holds all of those little pieces of yarn once I clip it or cut it at the bottom. So super tight. Pull it super tight. I'm going to slide it off of my cardboard. No, I do not use a pom-pom maker. I've been making pom-poms for many years, and this is how I do it. No matter how you slice it, no matter what you use, you have a lot of cutting to do. So either or, you decide. If you want to use a pom-pom maker, you do so. Okay, so now I'm going to start trimming. I usually start around the outer perimeter, and I start trimming off. Now, notice how I'm holding it. What I'm holding there is that 8-inch piece that I used to tie a double knot, and I'm just holding it in my hand and shaping it into a pom-pom shape. Now, I don't care about super meticulous pom-poms. I kind of like them kind of fun and just not necessarily perfect. Then I take my fingers and I fluff up the yarn, and this gets it very fluffy. It makes a super soft, fluffy pom-pom. So I'm just continuing to trim here, and then pretty soon I'm sure I'm going to stop and fluff it up again. Yes, just like that. Just with your fingertips, really fluff it up and mix it up. Mix up the yarn pieces. Then I'm going to do another trim and just keep trimming until I have it the desired shape. Now it's getting very fluffy, you can see that, and this is really perfect for the look of this stocking. Now you want all three of your pom-poms to be pretty similar. So, just check in with your other ones to make sure that they're somewhat similar in size and in shape. And you're going to keep that little tail on there, that little piece that you used to slide through your your yarn pieces. Okay, so now we have a nice shaped pom-pom, and those are going to go again, all right, on the stocking. And let me tell you, this makes a really cute touch. Okay, so all of my satin ribbons are dry now. So pretty soon, not quite yet, I'm going to fold them over and tack them down. So I have all three of my pom-poms, super cute. Now I have my pieces that I'm going to use, my ribbon pieces. This is from that spool of furry ribbon from Walmart. Now this works just fine, and they do have this ribbon. They always do every year. But I decided that the edges, I wanted to kind of fold them under ever so slightly and just tack them down, because I didn't like the way the edges of that ribbon looked. So I wanted it to look furry and continuously furry. So I just took a little tiny bit, just drug my, is that a word? Drag? You know what I mean. Okay, and fold it over. And I'm just going to tack that down with hot glue, just because I would rather not see that edging on that ribbon. So I did the other side as well. And that's going to help finish the look of the top of my stocking. Now, like I said, you could use Sherpa. You could use any type of short fur that you might have. Or if you want something else on the top of your stocking, if you have a preference for some type of fabric or finish on your stocking, you could do that as well. You could add another type of ribbon if you wanted to, maybe with a different print, and mix your prints for the top of the stocking. Be creative. You do you. Now, I wanted the corners of this piece to look rounded, like the corners of the top of the stocking that I drew out. I don't want them sharp corners, in plain words. Now, that top of that furry piece there is going to stick out just slightly from the other part of the stocking. And that's just the way I drew it out. That's a typical way that a stocking looks, just a little bit bigger on the top. And that's going to look so cute on there, right? So we're creating this cute little stocking throw pillow cover. Now this one is actually one that you could maybe somewhat abuse by leaning up against it. Certain ones, like my Santa head, I think if I had that on my couch and I saw somebody leaning up against it, I'm sure it would make me cringe. I'm sure I would cringe just a little bit. Certain things just, yeah. It's like crushing a bow to me. If you crush a bow, that will really provoke a cringe from me. So, yeah. I'm like the bow police. Anybody who I make something for, if I go to their house the next year or even within the same season and I see the bow crushed, I'm like immediately fixing it. So some people call me that, the bow police. Can you imagine? They call me that at work because I tell people, you take care of this. And then when it's crushed, yeah, they know what's coming. Okay, so I'm just placing all of my furry pieces by putting Aleene's tacky along the perimeter on the back. And I put it right over the top of my ribbons that I folded and tacked down that look like the pieces that look like they're holding the stockings on the cord. Now you can see very well now, you can see the edge of that red stocking, and even more so in person. This turned out really cute, and it has a lot of versatility and the way that you can make it. You can embellish these if you want to. Instead of a pom-pom, you could put a satin ribbon, little satin ribbon bow hanging down. That would have been my next choice. Surprise, surprise, right? But I thought I would do pom-poms because I actually have a beautiful furry stocking. It's my stocking that I use for decoration at Christmas, and it has pom-poms. So, I got the idea from that. Now, if you use any type of fur, expect it to get all over your throw pillow cover while you're working with the fur. But you know what I do? I take one of those lint removers, those the sticky ones with the handle. Can't think of the name of it right now. But after I'm all done with my throw pillow covers, I just went over them with that roller and picked up any of the lint that accumulated on them. So that's the answer to that. Because, anytime you use fur or anything like Sherpa, you're going to get that linty mess. So best way to clean that up on the fabric is just to use one of those lint rollers. Okay, now I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but I'm a little out of frame, not realizing that, of course. Now, one other thing that I'm going to do while we're looking at the corner there is I'm going to create a little kind of a shoestring bow out of that cord, and I'm going to put a bow on each corner right at the beginning of the cord on one corner, and then the corner on the opposite side of the throw pillow cover. This is just a little extra embellishment, and I'm just going to glue that right to the pillow cover. Now, like I said, you could put any kind of embellishment that you like on here. If you wanted to use like a big button on the top of the furry piece, you could do that. A button would be cute. Otherwise, if you wanted to decorate the bottom of the stocking in any way, the body of the stocking, you could do that as well. Now, this pillow cover would look great with felt, and that would be very nice. Now, a word about felt. Sometimes it depends on where you buy it. Hobby Lobby has great, nice, thick felt pieces that they sell in the department with the pipe cleaners. You could get individual pieces of that. But I often buy felt on the bolt, and that is extremely sturdy, thick, beautiful felt. That would make really nice stockings. And you could get that by the yard in the fabric department at Hobby Lobby. Okay, so I am going to be putting my pom-poms on, and what I'm going to do is take those cords that I was holding in my hand, the piece of cord that you cut off right there, I still have that on there, and I'm going to align it right up against that furry piece. And then I'm going to stick the tails right inside of that satin ribbon loop. So they will tuck in there very nicely. I'll put a little dab of glue in there, and that will conceal the ends of the tails, the ends of the tails of that ribbon. Yarn. And then I put a little dab of, little stream, if you will, very light, of tacky glue, and I'm going to press that yarn right up against that ribbon there on the side of my furry ribbon. Now I'm putting a little dab of glue inside there. Like I said, be careful with your glue. I had a couple of really tiny mishaps. And it's not that noticeable, but, everything bothers me unless it's perfect. And, then I do end up taking a little tacky glue and gluing my pom-pom down as well. Okay, now I have my little bow maker out, which I make perfect little bows on. And I'm going to cut my little cord ties that are going to go on each corner of my upper part of my throw pillow. Now I'm just going to use some tacky glue and tack that right up there at the top, just like that. Leave a little bit of tails on them. Looks cute. And then I'm going to use a couple of my little clips that I get at Dollar Tree. And that bow is about 2 inches wide, and I know that because I have all of my little dowels placed a certain width on my bow maker. And so it's about 2 inches. And this is how I make my little bows like this. My son made this beautiful little piece for me. I designed it, and I use it all the time. Might think about making one of these after the first of the year when you don't have a Christmas project to do. But they're awesome to have. I space out my dowels, or my son did for me, in different widths. And boy, do I use that. And I absolutely love it. So I'm going to use Aleene's Tacky, and I'm just going to use my clips like I mentioned. And I'm going to place my bow down right within the corner area. And then I'll put a clip on it and just let that dry. And that's it. That's how simple that was. Super, super simple and very, very cute. So I'm going to be doing all the same procedure with placing and tacking down my next ornaments. My little ornaments are going to be just like the stockings, same basic plan. Only I'm going to make ornaments that look like they're coming down from the top of the throw pillow cover. Now, this has been done a million times. You can find these online. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them on Pinterest. I just like the look of it, and I wanted to do my own in my own style. Now, one more word about this cord, just to keep it from unraveling. I put a little dab of tacky on my fingertip, and I put it on the tips of the cord, making sure that I keep those little tips of the cord off of my fabric because I don't want to drop any glue. Okay, now there's that lint roller that I was talking about. And I just go over that and pick up any lint off of my throw pillow cover. And that's all finished. Now, when you see it in person, you can see the print on that red stocking a little bit better. But this is it, and it was just so easy to do. Now, I'm going to do ornaments next, and those are even more simple than this. So if you like the look of that, think about doing that. Super easy, super cute, very quick. Here's some of those felt pieces from Hobby Lobby. It's a nice thick felt. I'm going to use, this is from a ribbon spool of Hobby Lobby ribbon. It's about 3 inches, I think, and it makes a great pattern for 3 ornaments that I'm going to be placing on my throw pillow cover. I'm going to use green, white, and red. And again, don't worry, the red is going to stand out because we're going to trim it out with cord. Now, what could you use on your ornaments? Just about anything that you want. I'm showing you rickrack, different colors of rickrack. This is a gingerbread rickrack. I'm going to use that. I finally found a use for it. I'm going to create kind of a gingerbread theme ornament. All different kinds of trims. Anything that you have in your stash, a narrow rickrack, a thicker rickrack, any kind of trims that you might have. You can embellish these ornaments any way that you like. There's just so many options. And that's that cord that I'm going to use to trim mine out and also to create the string that's going to be holding or appearing to hold my ornament or hang my ornament. These are options of satin ribbon, no wires. They're not that papery kind of ribbon. They're actual satin cloth ribbons. And that's what I'm going to use on this piece. So I have another 16-inch throw pillow cover, and I'm showing you here, you can fit 3 very nicely in about a 3-inch size ornament. I'm going to use techie glue and scissors, of course. Now, if you want to use the heat bond, you can do that with these pieces and just fuse them right onto the fabric. I'm not going to show you that again. I've shown you once. Yeah, I don't want to be redundant. Keep showing the same thing over and over. So let's move on. I'm going to trace out that circle on all 3 pieces of my felt and cut it out. Okay, here you go. Very simple. All 3 pieces. Now I'm going to decide how I'm going to place them. I placed my ornaments at all different levels. It wasn't even on anything. The one in the center was a little bit lower, and that cord is what I'm going to use. I'm trying to decide here actually which cord I'm going to use, but it ended up being the red and green right there. So I'm going to use that to make it look like they're hanging from the top of the throw pillow cover. So this one is extremely simple. Now, you can do what you want. You can use the heat bond to fuse them to your pillow, or honestly, you could use techie glue. But again, a hand wash if you have to wash these. Not worried that that glue will not hold. You're only going to be using these throw pillow covers for a few weeks, so, they're not getting that much wear and tear. So as long as nobody spills anything on them, you're pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to make this one kind of a gingerbread theme one, and I'm going to use that gingerbread rickrack. It's got a white stitching along the edges. It's really pretty. So I'm going to take my Aleene's Techie glue, and I'm going to put it right down the center, and I'm going to put my red rickrack on there. Now, each one is decorated a little bit differently. Again, you can be creative with this. And I'm going to put that gingerbread rickrack on there with a line of glue. I let that sit there for a little bit before I trim off the edges. And that's going to be the white ornament. And I'm going to be using this satiny ribbon. I've been doing a lot of projects, so yeah, I'm a little tongue-tied, saying not cord, it's ribbon. Yeah, I've been a busy girl. Okay, so I'm using my bow maker. See how handy this is? Oh my goodness. What would I do without it? It makes a perfect little bow with nice little tails and everything's facing the right direction. Oh, yeah, I couldn't do without it. But if you wanted to make your own bows, you could do that. You could do the finger bow thing I've seen people do. You could also just do kind of a figure 8 bow and tack it in the middle and then wrap it. And I'm deciding what I'm going to trim it out with. I could have used that red cord, that fabulous red cord from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so now for my red one, I'm thinking I'm going to use this green and white shimmery polka dot. It's a pretty satin ribbon from Hobby Lobby. So I'm kind of making up my mind here. I think each one of mine had rickrack on it because it's such a great trim to use for something like this. But I happen to have this container of little embellishments here. There's all different sizes in there. So I decided to use green and red because I'm going to have that green and red polka dot bow. So I thought I would, jazz it up a little bit with some shiny little embellishments. So I used a very narrow rickrack in the center and I placed my jewels on my little embellishments on there. And it looks super cute. And I tacked those down with Alien Tacky. Now, if you're going to use the heat bond, I would suggest that you use that. If you're going to fuse your fabric to your throw pillow cover, I would wait to put the jewels on until afterward. Easier to iron like that. Yes, I would do that. Okay, another little bow here with my fabulous bow maker. This is a 2-inch wide bow, by the way. Makes the cutest little bows. That's going to go at the top of my ornament. Each ornament has a bow at the top. That's going to bring all the colors together very nicely. Now I have a very cute little red ornament to go in the middle of that throw pillow cover. Now I was looking for some more embellishments for my gingerbread. I had this wood heart ornament, wood heart button. See what I mean? I'm just, using all the wrong words here. Okay, so I have my green felt ornament now. And I'm deciding what am I going to put on there. All these choices. And I'm looking at that red rickrack, which shows up very beautifully on that green. So like I said, you do you. Use whatever you like. I'm going to use my wider rickrack down the middle. And then the very narrow rickrack on the sides. And then I'm going to use that pretty little ribbon there from Hobby Lobby. It's a satiny ribbon with green Christmas trees. It's going to go very nicely as an embellishment on the top of that green ornament. And again, put that down the same way, stream of glue. Be careful with your glue on there. Make sure you have good control of where it's going. And last but not least, my little bow to go on top of that ornament. Now, this is super simple. I think you would agree. Yeah, this is a very, very easy project. with a lot of impact and will add a lot of color. I think that throw pillow covers are a phenomenal way to decorate for Christmas. It really, really adds to the Christmas decor. Okay, so I have my ornaments all fused onto my throw pillow cover. I have this upside down here because what I want to do now is I'm going to trim each one of those out. This really helps them to stand out on the throw pillow cover. So I'm just going to put a stream of glue all the way around the perimeter of the ornament, trying not to drip any. Again, I just want to caution you about that because, like I said, I had a couple of little minor mishaps myself, so I learned from that that circumstance. So, yeah, I want to share it with you. Now, I just take my cord and I press it right up against the edge of that ornament, and this looks so pretty. And then that cord is also going to serve as my hanger for my ornament. This is when it all comes together, and the good part is you didn't have to sew anything. Go on Amazon. Oh my gosh, did they have a selection. All different types of fabric of throw pillow covers. Different sizes, 16, 18-inch, 20, 22. Just measure your existing throw pillows on your couch and order throw pillow covers to match that, and then create some fun throw pillow covers. If you didn't see my previous videos, I did a Santa. That's a really fun one with a torn fabric beard. And then I also did a Sherpa reindeer. It was my post prior to this one, I believe. Yes. Now you want to get your stream of glue nice and straight here. That's why I turned my throw pillow cover upside down to approach it from the top side. And you want that nice and straight because you want your ornament to look like it's hanging. Not crooked, but straight. And then my bow goes right at the top of the ornament. Yeah. Some tacky glue there. Press that down. I leave a little bit of tails on my ribbons. You can always trim it up later if you like. But they look cute, kind of trailing down the ornament there. I press that down, hold it for a minute so it starts to get tacky on there. And then I look at it from all angles to make sure I have that cord straight that's serving as the hanger. Now you're going to do the same thing with your other ornaments. And I let that dry a little bit on my piece before I went to cut them off. Then when I cut them off, I put a dab of glue on there just to be sure that that cord doesn't fray. Look how cute this throw pillow cover is. I'm all done with them. They were easy. Here's the ornaments. Tell me what you think of these. Super simple, but yet so cute. This would look great on a throw pillow. You know, it would look cute if you put tassels on the corners of those with yarn. Okay, until next time, you all take care.